When TurboTrack was remade for Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, the developers at Beenox meant for it to be differentiated from Slide Coliseum. Whether you like it or not, the both tracks in the original Crash Team Racing have the same aesthetics regarding the backgrounds, while the track layout is the only difference. But in Nitro Fueled, each of the tracks has its own elements that give each track its own identity. So yeah, a different impression was left. But I suppose the developers expect that the concept of each track in the game be comprehended. Now, talking about TurboTrack, honestly, there's a lot to like. But even so, I I still think there are some things that could have been done better for it to function as it should look. So what issues do I have with them? Well, most have to do with the visuals, but bear with me. If I got this right, as with Slide Coliseum, the perimeter of TurboTrack is an equilateral triangle, and there's something on each corner as well as the middle of two sides. Here, though, because the setting is in the daytime as opposed to Slide Coliseum being set at night, holograms are not any practical. So having necessarily different features in this track can be understood. On one corner, there are huge face shots of Crash, Coco, and Cortex over a set of speakers. The speakers are one thing, but I don't think the face shots work. It's not that TurboTrack should not have any dedication to a character in a way. It's just that I don't feel it's the right place for any image of those particular characters. On another corner, there's a curved wall with a still image of Chicken Stew. And on the third corner are statues of carts in front of a curved wall with a checkered flag pattern. I'm actually fine with those two corners. In the middle of each of two of the perimeter sides, where the stands are images of a rotating trophy, which my feelings are mostly mixed. They don't look translucent enough to be holograms, so they must be opaque enough to be solid statues. Both images of the trophy are in front of straight walls with speakers on either side and having different background colors. One wall has a blue background and the other wall has a red background. And it works that in this track, the background colors of each of the walls match the colors of the garage doors underneath. Here's how I think the track should look. Picture it in your mind as I explain. The corner with the face shots of Crash, Coco, and Cortex. Well, Since that's the first corner you see when you start a lap, maybe there should be something mostly special. How about a statue of the turbo item as seen in its icon? This is TurboTrack, right? So a statue like that might give ideal representation. And the two areas with the trophies should have something else. Now, since the background of the walls have the same colors of the garage doors in their respective sides, it looks like opportunities to display characters. How I think that should work is that each of the areas can have rotating cubes which four sides has icons of characters. The cube over the wall with the blue background above the blue garage doors can have the icons of Crash, Coco, Polar, and Pearl. The cube over the wall with the red background above the red garage doors can have the icons of Cortex, Engine, Tiny, and Dingodile. And the cubes turn opposite directions. That ought to give the garage door some purpose. The corners with the card statues and the still image of Chicken Stew remain as they are. Oh, and remove the blimp and large planes. Their function in this track is not as effective as in Tiny Arena, especially with regards to the icons of Cortex on them. I mean, this track isn't really dedicated to him, is it? And it's not to say to make the sky feel empty. It's just that when you're racing the track, you have no time at all to look up. But you know what else about this track that should have been better? It's the music. It's clear that the original Crash Team Racing had theme music shared by Tiny Arena, Slide Coliseum, and TurboTrack. And it would have been a good opportunity to do something about that for Nitro Fuel. In said game, as the music of Tiny Arena is recomposed for a respective track, a different instrumentation was used for the theme of Slide Coliseum. But TurboTrack shares the version of Tiny Arena of the theme. If Slide Coliseum gets its own version of the theme of Tiny Arena, why not TurboTrack? And so, the track having its own remix of Tiny Arena is my suggestion. What should that remix sound like? Well, since an image of Chicken Stew is noticed, how about the theme music having the same instruments played for the music of the CTR TV cutscenes? More guitar riffs, heavier drum beats, and harder crashes and rides on the cymbals. Not to mean for it to lean closer to heavy metal, but all the same, it rocks alike. Certain enough, it ought to make this track a little more dedicated to Chicken Stew, as well as provide a little bit of prelude to Grand Prix that ostensibly occurs after the events of Adventure. So the above mentioned ideas are those which I think can and will make TurboTrack of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled have the identity it really deserves. If many people welcomed it the way it is, I'd rather not have anything against that. But that doesn't mean that there should be no one questioning why it's the way it is. When I'm playing the game, I just focus on the race. I don't lose my attention from my playing to the background. And I'm not the kind of person who'd play with the music on. After what the developers of Beenox did to TurboTrack for the new game, there's a lot to appreciate. But it's not everything of it that I can take as kindly. And I'm sure I'm not alone on that. But I think what I've thought about, and laid out in this video can result in the track working just right.